What is the latest tariff news? How has this impacted global light vehicle sales forecasts? And how did used car residual values perform in Europe during April? This is the Automotive Update, presented by AutoVista24. I'm AutoVista24 editor Tom Geggus, here with the latest edition of the Automotive Update. I'm here to give you the latest headlines from AutoVista24 and the wider automotive industry over the last 7 days. First up, the threat, imposition and amendment of tariffs have caused some enormous economic and political disruption so far this year. Duties have been levied against countries across the world on a wide range of imported items. Looking specifically at the automotive industry, 25% tariffs were placed on imported passenger vehicles on the 26th of March. This included sedans, SUVs, crossovers, minivans, cargo vans, and light trucks, as well as parts like engines, transmissions, powertrain parts, and electrical components. But just over a month later, on the 29th of April, US President Donald Trump signed orders easing pressure on car makers. First, these companies can offset a portion of tariff costs on imported parts. Until the 30th of April 2026, companies can claim 3.75% of the manufacturer's suggested retail price on vehicles built in the US. From the 1st of May 2026 to the 30th of April 2027, this rate will drop to 2.5% and then be phased out afterwards. Secondly, car makers will not be subject to stacked tariffs, meaning no cumulative effects from multiple vehicle-related duties. So a car maker would pay a component's 25% import duty, but not pay the tariff on the parts steel and aluminium too. The American Automotive Policy Council, or AAPC, represents Ford, General Motors and Stellantis. It said the car makers appreciate the clarification on tariff layering. Governor Matt Blunt, president of the AAPC, said applying multiple tariffs to the same product or part was a significant concern for American automakers, and we're glad to see this addressed. We also welcome the import adjustment offset and the recognition of the significant economic contributions of US-based automakers. He went on to say the details of the executive order would be reviewed. In fact, only a couple of days later, on the 1st of May, GM CEO Mary Barra revealed the extent of the impact in a letter to shareholders covering the first quarter of this year. She said that, incorporating the positive impact of the administration's action this week, we are updating our full-year EBIT adjusted guidance to a range of $10 billion to $12.5 billion, including a current tariff exposure of $4 billion to $5 billion. But how have tariffs weighed on outlooks for vehicle markets across the world? This week, Neil King, head of forecasting at EV Volumes, set out his latest expectations for global automotive markets. This covers light vehicle sales, including passenger cars and light commercial vehicles. By the end of 2025, global light vehicle volumes are now expected to grow by 1.2% year on year. This is a downgrade from March's outlook, when 1.9% growth was expected. This slower rate of growth is down to the economic uncertainty introduced by US goods tariffs, as well as the trade war with China. On top of all of this, EV Volumes also expects to see the withdrawal of the US Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, in the second half of this year. This will be a problem for the country's EV market as it provides plug-in tax credits. JD Power Analysis outlines that the average price of a new vehicle in the US is expected to increase by 5% by the end of this year. This could then translate to the sales rate dropping by 8%. However, March and April have already pointed towards a pre-tariff bump to sales, which is expected in the second quarter. Average prices are then predicted to rise by between 3% and 5% in the third quarter. Then 5% higher prices are expected to become the new normal from the fourth quarter. But what does all of this mean for EV Volumes forecast? Well, in North America, light vehicle sales are expected to hit 17.67 million units, down 0.9% year on year. In Europe, light vehicle sales are expected to grow by 0.15% to just under 15 million units. This is lower than the 0.6% growth expected in March's forecast. EV Volumes expects China's light vehicle market to reach 26.69 million unit sales this year, equating to 2.7% growth. In the non-triad region, light vehicle sales are expected to hit 1.7% in 2025. This is down from the 2.3% growth outlined in March's forecast. Now, to find out more about the rationale behind these regional forecasts, as well as EV Volumes expectations for the adoption of EVs in each one of these regions, head over to AutoVista24 via the show notes. And make sure you're signed up for our email as well. That way you'll get the latest news straight to your inbox. And subscribe to the AutoVista24 podcast wherever you listen to us. We are of course hosted on Spotify, so that means if you listen via the app, you can leave us a comment about the episode you're listening to. And check out AutoVista24's YouTube channel as well. There you'll find our What Is Explainer videos, Launchport series and webinar recordings. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes. Now, AutoVista24's latest monthly market update is live. It contains insights into some of Europe's biggest used car markets, with commentary and analysis from AutoVista Group experts. To talk us through some of the major market trends is AutoVista24 journalist Tom Hooker. Hi, Tom.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Great to have you with us. So, Tom, could you take us through some of the major market trends for April's MMU?
Yeah, so residual values of used cars continued to fall across Europe in April. The average 3-year-old vehicle at 60,000 kilometres in Austria, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Switzerland and the UK retained a smaller percentage of their list price value when compared with March. Major European used car markets also saw trade values drop year on year. Italy suffered the steepest decline, falling 4.6 percentage points from April 2024. This trend of decreases in Europe occurred across all powertrains, with plug-in hybrids particularly struggling.
So, declines across the board then. Did any markets record a somewhat positive result?
Well, the UK remained relatively robust, with residual values presented as a percentage of list prices dropping by just 1 percentage point year on year. Battery electric vehicles and full hybrids actually managed an improvement of 1.3 percentage points and 0.7 percentage points respectively in the country.
I know that oversupply and underdemand have been a pretty major pressure point for used car residual values in the last couple of years, particularly after values were so inflated during the COVID-19 pandemic. But I wonder if for this month's monthly market update, you noticed any other factors that you think were particularly interesting?
One thing that stood out to me was the increase in gross list prices. This metric saw a significant year-on-year rise in Austria, Spain, Germany, the UK and Switzerland. Most European markets also saw list prices grow when compared to March.
Thank you very much for the rundown, Tom. Now, to find out more about how each country and powertrain performed in April, check out the latest monthly market update on autovista24.com. I'll put a link to the article in our show notes. And finally, Volkswagen Financial Services, or VWFS, is closing down Heycar, its marketplace division, as reported by Fleet Europe. According to the publication, a spokesperson for VWFS said, Heycar has been a pioneer in the online used car marketplace, and despite the decision to wind down their operations, the valuable insights and digital solutions developed so far will play a crucial role in the future of VWFS UK, as we continue to explore new ways to drive growth and innovation in the automotive e-commerce space. So Heycar's technology and expertise will likely be used in a new subsidiary. AM Online also reported that Heycar will be closed before the end of the summer. If you would like to explore today's stories in more depth, just head down to the show notes of this episode and click the link to our companion article on AutoVista24. This episode was co-produced by AutoVista24 web editor James Roberts. Additional thanks go to journalist Tom Hooker for appearing in this week's episode. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thank you very much for listening to the AutoVista24 podcast.